Me and my niggas prepared for the dog. Yeah. So we gon' get it on for the last days, nigga. You already know what it is. 140 for the rebel.
They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. Earn your stripes, dog, you with us or not. We can get it on when it's on, it don't never stop. First you get that power, gotta hold it down. Watch your step, boy, you on holy ground. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. It's a problem, tell them pop off. I die for I let my colors fly, boy. For a nigga take me, they a drop dead. AR, clean them up like a mop pig. Say he cool, he bad, he really so tough. They like, damn, look what he did to Billy go rough. Little bitch think she Kiki Palmer, silly hoe. She know I'm that bull, but I ain't from Philly though. From the city where they say about that ribbon like petty poops. Know them niggas plotting, gotta deal with me. Can't catch me slipping, got to steal with me. Just left Alabama, bought a chopper from some hillbilly move. He made my feel the blade. Leave them all bruised, come through like a plague. Rebel off the leash like a dog out the cage. Call me Johnny Blaze, I'm Run West May. Watch your step get stretched like a limousine. So my brother bring that blade back wet, that's by any means. Little nigga, this that cold, need to talk. Niggas know I got blood in my cup, I just sip it like it's grenadine. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. Earn your stripes, dog, you with us or not. We can get it on when it's on, it don't never stop. First you get that power, gotta hold it down. Watch your step, boy, you on holy ground. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war, let's see who make it out. Tell them niggas good night, here come the best. Look, told them niggas get right or get left. UPK, bad man, I pin to your flesh. Hellboy, rip the soul out of dead man shit. Got the rate, the power, I been the showstopper. Yeah, they might hate, but I know they gon' watch. Zone on lock, and you know the flow prop. Iced out, got the drip out of David Jones lock. Know I got the plan, they say that you the man. No shit, Sherlock, I'm the one you heard about. Burn down the building, let them all watch. Throw that one west up, then I swerve. Sick with this shit, I do not need a detox. He don't watch a step, blow him out them Reeboks. We taking over, I'm sending the word out. Can't see me, little nigga, I put you in a bird box. Look, it's One West practical, gladiator, maximal. Creep on them slow, but they Glock 5 rapid. All I want is more power, more straps to blow. Ain't got excuse for no car, he gon' have to go. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out. Earn your stripes, dog, you with us or not. We can get it on when it's on, it don't never stop. First you get that power, gotta hold it down. Watch your step, boy, you on holy ground. They in the building, we in the spot. We can go to war and see who make it out.
I got you. Let it vibe real quick. Look.
City eyes, it's time to vote God. My God, a real nigga, cause he wasn't no flaw. Posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure, got that shot in the closet by the mob ball. Fuck what they heard, tell them it's all true. Be cautious, that foundation voltage and fall through. They gon' fall. Look, I keep this shit 50 times 2. Ain't no more heart in this game, I'm John Q. The colder than the avalanche, way above average. Offense taste sweet, told him make me an apple-crisp. Left us in the valley full of bones, this where hope found. Child become a man, dark sands get broke down. Riding through Evanston with Mark Quad. Telling me how them crackers turned his childhood to a ghost town. Focus stop, nigga, I lay that game down. I feel his pain, cause nothing is the same now. Let my light shine like heaven through a rain cloud. Glock have a fit like my child, so tangent. Try to warn them niggas, we bear arms like tarantulas. Them other niggas rap, I make anthems. I really seen prophets under this banner. Make my enemies bow down on camera. Told my design I wanted black and white like a panda. I'm better than that nigga that sunk dirty Diana. Look, I move like a facility, precious cargo, spirit Asian, but I got a new semi-auto. Wave that bitch around like where's Wardo. Sleep if they won't, I cut through they Z's like I'm Zorro. Hate me for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like skills touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much. Ride around with Yara down, just left the state bridge. Looking for a bitch better than Baby's kid. Remember I dropped Quiet Storm, I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So you said that they put billions of my access. Yes, you said Should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail when he steals? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money he robbed? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did? That's right. That's right.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacle set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never our home, only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting, the trail of my tears is countless. Main fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles will make it official. I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be, slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cage is safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash, get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog.
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood slim. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in this body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback to bitch in his dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is served cold, I just hope they making oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in a world of mad shooters. That was designed fire for our babies to pass through. In the day of our king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog.
Yeah. On 44 shit, you know what I mean? Busy man, busy man. Look, when that shit drop, you step all the way on their neck, step on their neck and their head with that shit.
Fine in, I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel, I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it, got it out the mud, straight to glory. They don't know how I feel, he nice but he don't show them skills, how I show them skills. He ride but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel. They mad, I'm too solid, circle tight, yeah, vacuum seal. No, they want my life, I ain't worried, I got rank for it. I got real soldiers, kill for me, nigga, watch yourself. They said you been in beast mode, might not see it on me, just know it's women, that bitch fully loaded. Ooh, yeah, we up and rolling. Told them I need major motion. Think I'm joking, I'ma school them niggas like they baby Jody. Got it out the dust, now I'm too clean, don't know why they hate me. What you want out life, dog? Guns and butter, baby boy. UPK top, dog. Certified road runner. I'ma turn that econ line van to a damn tank. I got choppers stashed in the attic like they in front. They had that shit on lock till I snapped on them like bolt cutters. You cannot play both sides, gotta choose your colors. See him throwing that one up with that W, that's my blood, bro. Fine in. I ain't show no mercy, I'm gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel. I got time to kill. Hey, the start I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it. Got it out the dust, straight to glory. They don't know how I feel. He nice, but he don't show them skills how I show them skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel how I work the wheel. Ooh, I got it made, circle tight, yeah, back and seal. Said they want my life, I ain't worried, I got rain for real.
Alarm, I hit this again, The ISUPK will be holding a powerful class on the 13th of April, 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock, Maidstone Road, Leicester, LE20UA. Bring your question, them come and get the program. Fast.
Alright, Shalom. This is the ISUPK Wednesday history class. We're having an issue with the YouTube, so we're only up on the Facebook. Because for some reason, YouTube it asked. So I can add the brothers in. Hey, Shalom, come. Alright, so we're having an issue with the YouTube, so we're down on YouTube. We're up on the Facebook. So we're gonna have to try roll with it and then see what we can do. So we're gonna finish off what happened to Mary Queen of Scots. So we're gonna finish off where we left off last week. Also remember, check out Commanding Johnny Hannah's radio show, which is Monday 2 a.m. UK time. We have classes in the UK Monday through Friday. We have the law class from the school Monday, the Brotherhood class online Tuesday, History breakdown class from the school Wednesday, Scripture breakdown class from the school Thursday, the Hebrew Lashon Kodash on the Friday, that's online. We also have the Sabbath service on Saturday. And this Saturday we got a class in Leicester at 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. So come on down. If you can't come on down, support and go online and all of those kind of things. So we'll be in Leicester 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. this Saturday. Then after that, next week we have the Passover, man. So we'll be flying out. Also remember, take all of the leaven out of your house before you fly, because obviously you ain't going to be back on time to remove it. So don't go doing a big shopping knowing obviously you're not even going to get to eat it, because you can't eat anything with yeast or raisin agents in for that duration of the feast of unleavened bread. So the captain will go into that tomorrow. So tomorrow you get the understanding of what you can eat, what you can't eat, how long it lasts, when it starts, when it ends. All right, so with that we're gonna go straight in. So this is anyone able to read that? So now we're gonna pick up where we left off. So we're going back into Mary Queen of Scots.
Yeah, the book. Video still.
I don't know what page that's on.
Fine still.
That's the lucky. Are you able to see that?
Yeah, Khan. Banyamin, can you get that other one?
Sir.
Yeah.
Khan. Despite her vehement and courageous refusals, in the end, Mary was forced under extreme duress to relinquish her crown to her young son.
So now this is when she was forced to relinquish her crown to her young son. So now her young son was James the Sixth and James the First of England. This is when he became James the Sixth. Why? Because Mary, Mary was the Queen of Scotland, but she had to relinquish that throne. Why? Because what had happened with James Hepburn. So now Lord Bothwell, that was his title because he was what, the Lord of Bothwell, but his real name was James Hepburn. So now she had to relinquish the title. Go ahead.
Her brother James would act as regent.
So now her brother James would act as regent. So now this, a lot of them was called James. This James right here was James the fifth's illegitimate son. So he would act as regent for King James, meaning he would make all the decisions until King James became of age. Go ahead.
Immediately, she fell ill again and believed this time she had been poisoned.
So now she felt ill and she believed that she was poisoned. Because back then, nowadays, if you get poisoned, they can trace what was in your food and see what you died of. So now when people try to poison their spouses nowadays, chances are you're going to get caught because now they do a whole autopsy and they can tell what that person's consumed and which part is poisonous and which part is not. Back in them days, it was just speculation. You'd die of being poisoned, but no one could really prove it. Because obviously medical testing wasn't where it is today. Go ahead.
On July 29th, her young son, now 13 months old, was crowned King James the
Now,
Sixth.
he was forced to relinquish the throne. They came to her in England and threatened her with execution. Said, yo, you give up that throne or we're going to kill you, man. So now she had to give it up and she was trying to reason with them like, yo, it's not what you think it is. They was like, nah, we don't want to hear it. Relinquish the throne. And then that's how King James became king. Because his mother relinquished the throne when he was, did it say 36 months? When he was about 36 months. Go ahead.
King James VI of Scotland. As bonfires were lit and cannons discharged in celebration on the little island, Mary wept.
Everyone was celebrating. Why? Because most of Scotland was mad at Mary Queen of Scots because they believed that she got his father killed. They believe she got his father killed, and they believe she married the man that killed his father. So they believe she was a whore that done all of those things. So now they was doing all these bonfires. Why? Because they know if they've got a whore as a queen, it's basically the end for them. So now, along with them and their Catholic religion, they understood that that was wrong. So that's why they said, damn, we need to get her up out of here and get somebody else in. But they would also do it by order who was next in line for the throne. And King James was next in line for the throne. So they said, well, we're going to make her relinquish the throne. And then it's going to go to King James. Go ahead.
When her brother at last paid her a visit at Loch Leven,
Mary. So now King James is this would be King James's uncle. So now this was the other James, the illegitimate son James. He paid her a visit. Go ahead.
Mary's hopes of his kindness were dashed. James took a righteous stand and lectured her about all her errors of judgment.
He thought, well, this man's my brother. I grew up with him, with family. He's going to understand and he's going to be able to get me free from these jails that I'm sitting in England and wherever I'm imprisoned. But he took a righteous stance and he was like, nah, man, you got your husband killed and you done all the other stuff. He didn't get fooled by it. He goes, nah, man, you got your husband killed and you married the man that killed him. So he took a righteous stance. He didn't take a stance of someone that's a sibling. He said, I'm going to stand for righteousness. So he didn't, his love wasn't wavered because she's a sibling. He took a righteous stance and said, yo, I'm going to do what's right. Go ahead.
And at one point, threatened her with execution for Darnley's death.
And even he threatened her with execution for Darnley's death because they understood what she done wasn't right. They understood what they thought she done. So they thought she was in on it. So now he threatened her with death also for that. Go ahead.
Bothwell had by August fled Scotland, but then landed in prison in Norway.
And now Bothwell fled Scotland because some of the nobles realized what happened. Some of the nobles realized that Bothwell murdered Darnley. Bothwell raped Mary. So he had to flee Scotland because the nobles that was still in Scotland, they was mad upon hearing this. So he had to flee from Scotland and go into hiding. Go ahead.
Caught by creditors and the family of his former mistress.
So now this man tried to flee Scotland and he went to Denmark or Norway. And in there, they wanted him for crimes also. So he was wanted in Denmark and Norway. So him running from Scotland for his crimes, he ran to Denmark and Norway, and there he was in prison for his crimes also. Go ahead.
For a while, he was used as a political pawn.
So they would use him as a political pawn. Then when they realized this man don't have no power, no strength to just throw him in jail, go ahead.
But when his value did not seem worth the trouble, he lived the rest of his life in a series of ever worsening prisons.
So this man, they put him in prison. They put him in a prison in Denmark. It was pitch black in there. They tied him to a stake. And the stake that it was tied to, the stake was so short that it wasn't able to stand up. And he was tied to the stake for 10 years. So the threw him in jail. He was tied to the stake for 10 years in jail. Go ahead.
Until he died insane after being tied to a stake for 10 years.
That would make anybody insane, man. Imagine being tied to a stake and sitting in a dark place for 10 years, man. This man was in there for 10 years, tied to a stake. Listen, man, I got no sympathy for him, man. He's a rapist, man. He should have been tied to the stake for 20 years.
That's right.
Listen, man. He was tied to that stake for 10 years and he died insane. Meaning his last days, he lost his mind. Why? Because he went from being Lord Bothwell. His real name was James Hepburn. So if you wanted to look him up in history, you would just look up James Hepburn. And then it would say James Hepburn that was Lord over Bothwell. So now, because there was tons of Bothwell, I believe he was the 4th Earl over Bothwell. So there's different ones. So the 4th Earl over Bothwell was James Hepburn, which was him. So now he died insane, sitting in that prison cell, man. Go ahead.
Tied to the stake for 10 years in a horrible dungeon within the pitiless fortress of Dragsholm. No records show if Mary asked much about him after a while.
So now no records even show that Mary even asked about him because she weren't in love with him and she didn't want to marry him, but for political reasons, and back then, the rest of society being so unrighteous, she couldn't come out and say, this man's a rapist. Whereas when you live in an unrighteous society, you can't expect righteousness to dwell there. So now, if you live in an unrighteous society and someone robs you, everyone glorifies the robber. Like, yo, you see him, he robbed his chain, you know. If you live in a righteous society, that robber gets brought before the people and gets a beating, man. That robber gets brought before the people and gets a beating in front of everybody. And then guess what that would do? That would put away evil from Israel. Why? Because you would think, when you think to rob someone, guess what you're going to remember? How that man got beat the last time, man. You're going to be like, damn, the last person that robbed someone, I seen someone beating them in the road, man. And then you're going to think twice before you rob someone. But when robbers is glorified, when you rob someone's chain and you take a picture with it and everyone's calling you a gangster and praising you, I mean, that's an unrighteous society. Now, if we lived in a righteous society, people wouldn't have to take vengeance on themselves and go and harm someone. Why? Because you'd be able to go to the righteous people in your city and say an injustice has took place in the city. You'd go before them and say an injustice has took place in this city. This person's committed this crime against me. And the judges over that city would be like, all right then, there's going to be a council, let's see what happens. And the man that did the wrong, he would have to make full restitution, man. And that's why the Lord said, the man that stole, let him pay sevenfold. Why? The spirit behind that law is don't steal, because if you do, you're going to pay triple whatever the price is, man. So the Lord put that in there. Why? So you think, damn, I'm not going to steal because I don't want to pay sevenfold. Now, if we live like that according to these laws, we would live a much better life. Because we don't live according to these laws. Now, people take vengeance upon themselves and commit crimes and do all of those kind of things. And now this sister was raped and she couldn't even go to the men of the city and say, a disgusting act happened to me. What Mary should have done is what? Because she was the queen, She should have used their voice and let it be noised abroad, man. She should have used their voice and spoke about how this man raped her. You know why? Because every other sister that's been raped would have came forward, man. Because if the Queen can come in, now if they see that this has happened to the Queen and the Queen speaks about it, all the other women that was ashamed to speak about it, they would speak about it too, man. And then Scotland would have to understand they've got a ton of wickedness going on in their kingdom.
That's right.
They'll have to understand there's a ton of unrighteousness going on in their kingdom. But because she stayed quiet and didn't speak about it, these women that ain't as strong as her ain't going to speak about it. She would have came out and said, yo, this is what happened to me. This should happen to no woman. If she would have came out and said, this is what happened to me, this shouldn't happen to no woman. We're supposed to be one nation, we're brothers and sisters. How would you feel if a man forced himself on your physical sister, man? And then those men would have understood it that way. And then Bothwell would have had to get the hell up out of there a lot quicker, man. If she would have said, yo, I'm ruling over you people and this is what's happened to me. This man did it. If she would have opened her mouth like Esther did, maybe things would have been different for her, man. If she would have opened her mouth and used her voice. Because she kept it to herself and cried in her room at night and didn't tell no one. Nobody's knows. Because she kept it quiet, nobody knows what's going on. So, Lucky, go ahead. Oh, actually,
that's it on that, sir.
Go ahead.
Mary, Salaki, I'll get this one. Mary longed for the day that her son, now King James V or VI, Salaki, of Scotland, could intervene on her behalf.
So now she understood that her son was the king. So she was in prison at this time, and she was that hoping that one day her son would grow up and he would free his mom from jail. He would write and say, yo, free my mom from jail. She was hoping that him having the power as king of Scotland, he would be able to speak to Elizabeth and say, yo, free her from jail and send her back to Scotland and just let her live out the rest of her days in Scotland. She even said, to live as a free woman, I'll give up this whole queen shit. So she longed for the day that she would see King James would free her from jail. Go ahead.
Kadawan Khan, which she believed a son would naturally do for his mother.
So she believed the son would naturally do this for his mother, and the son naturally would do this for his mother. Why? Because it's your mom. But if someone's getting in your head telling you lies about your mom, you might not free her, man. If people are telling you your mom's a witch and she killed your father and she's evil and she's this and she's that, you might not free her. So King James had what? His privy council telling him one thing. Queen Elizabeth had her privy council telling her one thing. Go ahead.
Kadawan Khan, from the time of her arrival in England, Mary made anxious attempts to remain in contact with her child.
So now, she tried to remain in contact with King James, but what happened is she would send him gifts, and those gifts would be blocked. They wouldn't send them, man. She would write letters to him, he wouldn't receive those letters. He just believed his mother didn't love him, his mother abandoned him, his mother didn't care about him. Because that's what was told to him by the regent and his privy council.
Salakia, sir.
Go ahead.
That's called alienation, you know? And people do it today with the mothers, what I've experienced, do that to the father. So the father might want to send gifts to the son or daughter. And what they call it is alienation. So her he only knows one parent, and he'll always be biased to that one parent because he's, the gifts and everything else, just like here, has been stopped. So there's a thing called alienation. Salakia, just to add to what you're saying. So.
And you're so right. And usually this happens to men. Men love their children, so men try and reach out to their children, and the mother stops it. The letters that come through the post, she'll throw those letters in the bin. The child will be upstairs, my dad don't love me, my dad don't love me. And the mom will be saying, yo, your dad don't love you, man. You know he could have wrote to you. You know he could have sent you some letters. And then you're thinking your child don't want to speak to you because they're not responding to your letters. So what will happen is, you'll phone the mom like, yo, put my son on the phone. The mom will say, he don't like you, he don't want to speak to you. He don't want to speak to you. and then you start to dislike your child like, damn, well, forget him. And then the mother will go to the child, your dad don't want to speak to you, your dad don't want to speak to you. And then the child will be like, damn, forget my dad then. And then before you know it, used to at odds with each other, and there's a person in the middle that's ruining the relationship, man.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, guess what happens? Eventually, you both realize that this person lied to both of you. But now you don't want to do this to your children. You know why? Because you ruining that child's life, they can't get that time back, man. That's time they can't get back. Imagine you've kept a child away from his father for 15, 20 years. That child's been molded without a man in its life, man. And then for that man to come in, once that child's stuck in its ways, and for you to expect him to work miracles, it don't work like that, man. The Bible says you bow a child's neck from his youth. That's how it goes. Don't bring those 17-year-old nigga to me now and say, yo, your son's out of control, man. It's too late, man. He's molded, man. I can't mold him now. He's 17, 18. What can I tell him now? The mom will say, your son, he needs his father. It's time for you to step up as a man. That's what she'll say. You've heard that it's time for you to step up as a man. Listen, every father's heard that nonsense. Listen, if you've got a woman and you ain't with her no more, you've heard that it's time for you to step up as a man. Like she even knows what a man is. Listen, man, it's time for you. It's time for you to stop trying to be a man and be a woman, man. How about that? How about you step down and you be a woman, man, and you let me do what I'm supposed to do without your input? Time for me to step up as a man. That's what happens. You ruin a whole child's life because you wanted to ruin this man's life.
Can't.
And when the child goes to jail, whose fault? Who do you blame? Oh, it's because his father wasn't there. Now, if you're going to blame the father for imagine this. The father didn't raise the child, so how can the father get the blame for the child going to jail, man?
Exactly.
The father wasn't there. That makes no sense. I mean, if the child becomes a brain surgeon and a billionaire, you don't say, oh yeah, he graduated because his father. You don't give the father. Listen, as a man, you're going to lose both times, man.
That's right.
If you're not there. If you're not there, the child goes to jail. It's because his father weren't in his life. But if you're not there and the child becomes one of the greatest human beings on this earth could possibly have, it's because it was raised by a strong black woman. But when he goes to jail, that's not because he was raised by a strong black woman. See, everything's your fault in this life, man. Everything is your fault in this life. The only place where black men get some credit is in the ISUPK.
That's right.
And Salaki, sir, if I may just add again, and the whole system on the earth for fathers trying to get their sons or their daughters, right, is totally against the black man, fully against the black man, more than the white man, fully against the black man from seeing his son or having any type of input, because I believe that they understand the seriousness of having a black man in every black household. That's what I believe they know. So Salakia.
And as a father, if you want to go through court and get your children, do it, man. She don't want to let you see the kids, and if you want to go to court, you go to court, man. You go to court. Exactly. You go to court, man. You go to court, and the thing is this: if you serve the Lord, you will get that child. You know why?
Right.
You're battling some woman that wants to go to the club and dance on her head. There's no way the judge is going to look at her lifestyle and look at yours and pick her over you, man. You're a righteous man trying to do right by your child, and you might not get your child the first time, but keep doing it, man. And then when you do get your child, do what they do to you, man. Put them on child support, man. You put them on child support, man. You say, look, man, my child needs some money, man.
I make the baby by myself.
That's it. Exactly. I didn't make the baby by myself. You put them on child support, man. You put them on child support and say the child needs nappies. Imagine if men done to them what they do to you. Imagine if you stopped them from seeing the child and talked about supervised visits. Imagine if you said, no, you drink too much and dance on your head in the club. You're dangerous. I need supervised visits. Imagine if you said that. Imagine if you said, no, you're not going to see the child until you prove to me that you've been sober for a month. Imagine if you said to them, no, you're not going to take my child around your new partner. Exactly. Imagine if you said that you're not taking my child around your new partner. Imagine if you said that to her. Imagine if you said to her, you ain't taking my child abroad. I'm not giving you the passport. Imagine if you said those things, man. Imagine if you said, I'm not allowing you to get a copy of their birth certificate. Just imagine the evil things which have took place to men. Hold on, read on. I'm going way off topic. So lucky.
Kadiwan Khan, known for her love of children.
She was known for her love of children. Go ahead.
Mary missed her little boy terribly.
And she missed him terribly, but now they didn't tell him this. They didn't tell him about his mother until later on in life. One of his mother's maidens had a 2-hour conversation with him about his mother. Go ahead.
Kadiwan Khan, when he was 4.5, she sent him a little pony and a saddle with a note.
So now she sent him a pony and a saddle when he was 4 years old. Because remember, she was rich, she was royalty. So they had these things. She was the former queen of Scotland. So she sent King James a pony, and she also sent him a letter because she raised him from he was born, and she used to spend tons of time with him. But what would have happened is King James would have been too young to know about the times he spent with his mother. It's like you don't remember the times you spent with your mother when you was 1 year old. So now just remember back then, this is a time when there's no photographs, there's no videos, there's no Instagram. He can't look back on memories. He's just in his life grown up without a mother. And he believes his mother don't like him. He's grown up without a mother. And if you grow up without a parent, it makes you a certain way. Like now, if you're a woman that grows up without a father, you look for a father in anything. If you're a man that grew up without a mother, you look for a mother in everything. So what you'll find is a man that grew up without a mother, there's certain things that he will do. He will either hate women. He will hate women. Why? Because he didn't have a mother and he believes his mother treated him horribly and he thinks every woman is like his mom, so he hates women. Now, a woman that grew up without a father, she will hate men. Why? Because she believes all men are like her father. She believes all men are good for nothing. So when you grow up without a parent, that's what happens. But now, you can grow up without a parent and you still can love your parent. It's based on the person that's raising you, the stories that they tell you, man. Mm-hmm. Now, imagine imagine now you took a long leave and you got kids. Now your wife could do two things. She could tell them kids how great their father is, how great your father is, how great your father was, your father loved you like dearly. Or she could tell them kids, niggas ain't shit. And based off what she says to them kids is the image that them kids is gonna have of you in their head. And then they could grow up and this is why there's some men that's in jail, never seen their kids, but their kids love them. Why? Because the mom tells them good stories. Now, if you tell the kids bad stories, the kids is gonna hate the dad. So that's why it's very important not to demonize your whatever you call them, your children's father or mother. That's why you don't demonize them, man. If anything, this is what you do. You allow that child to grow up and use their own eyes and see, man.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Now, if the father's not playing his position, allow that child to grow up and see it for themselves without you having an input, without you feeding, without you putting a battery in their back, without you fueling them and making their hatred stronger. Sometimes allow people to see things with their own eyes, man. That's what you should do. Listen, man. If I had a baby with a woman and she was full of shit, I ain't gonna tell the kids. I'm just gonna raise the kids. And when the kids ask about their mom, I'll be like, yo, that's a question. These questions you need to ask her, man. So these questions you need to ask her. These kids are gonna grow up when they get to of age and they find their mother or whatever. They're gonna be like, Mom, yo, where was you on my first day of school? Where was you here? Where was you there? Dad done this, Dad done that. Dad was great to us. That's what you want. You don't want them. You don't want to give no one the power to say, well, the reason I didn't see you because your mother threw the letters away that I sent, your father threw the letters away that I sent. You don't want your child to look at you like you was the evil bastard that stopped me from seeing my own parent. Eventually, children grow up, man. Children won't stay babies forever. Eventually, they're gonna grow up, and this is what they're gonna say. They're gonna love you because you raised them. Then one day they're gonna look at you sideways like, hold on. So all that time I was saying to you, where's my mom? And my mom was writing to me and you was throwing the letters away. In the end, they're going to end up hating you, man.
That's right.
Especially as a sister, kids are going to grow up and be like, what? All the time my father was trying to find me. You knew how much I needed a father my whole life. And you threw away those letters, man.
That's deep.
all them times I needed a father and I needed a father figure, and you see me crying, asking about my father, and you told me he ain't shitting through them letters away. Your children are gonna start to hate you, man.
Because Salakia, sir,
Go ahead.
they're gonna realize that wasn't love.
Exactly. And then you're gonna guess what they're gonna say? I done it to protect you. Protect them from what exactly? You done it because you was a spiteful bastard, man. So that's all it is. And these children grow up and they're gonna see that, man. And they're gonna lose all respect for you. What you want is you want your slate to be clean. You want them to say, all right, then the other parent didn't do their job and it had nothing to do with you.
So Salakia, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, Elizabeth. Who is Elizabeth to Mary again? Is she was the one that was bringing him up, right?
Nah. So he was brought up in Scotland by his family in Scotland.
All right. But Elizabeth was the one that stopped him the letters and gifts from coming, right?
Yes. So what happened is Elizabeth was the Queen of England. So now all of those gifts that she was trying to send out, they used to read her letters and stuff. And then they used to stop her letters getting to Scotland because they were spying on her letters. Because they were scared. Why? Because she was a staunch Catholic. So if she writes to her Catholic followers and is like, yo, come burn this place down, man. Them Catholics do it because obviously some of them England was Protestant, Scotland was Catholic. And at this time you had an England Catholic wars going on. So now they had to proofread their letters. And then once the English war and the Catholic war started heating up, Mary was like a Catholic and they was like, damn, soon people's going to be trying to break into the prison to get Mary out. So then they was afraid of all of those kind of things. So they tried to just put her away where no one would find her. And that was that. That's okay, go ahead.
Kadwan Khan, dear son, I send 3 bearers to see you and bring me word how we do.
So now, she sent them to bring her word of how he does. I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, no, the note there. Send it down. You said it. So we experience difficulties with
Is it to everyone?
On streaming, I think we're experiencing difficulty with YouTube. Can you say that on there?
Oh, yeah, that's all right. So, okay, go ahead.
Kadwan Khan, and to remember you, that you have in me a loving mother that wishes...
Wait, what did she say?
She said, and to remember you, that you have in me a loving mother.
So she said, in me, you have a loving mother. So she's writing love letters to her son, like, yo, how much she loves him, how much she misses him. And that's what every mother will do, because mothers love their kids. Imagine being away from your kids for that long, man. Speak about depression, you're going to be depressed, man. No one's taking their depression into account. As a father, you're depressed if you don't get to see your kids, man.
True thing.
That's in Tyrese cry. That's in Tyrese crying the internet, man. You see it?
Right.
That's in Tyrese crying, saying it's not fair, man. Don't tell me fathers don't love their. Don't tell me fathers don't love their sons, man. Hey, Shalom, you Shabbat Kafar.
Shalom, Yabash, and Shabbat Thumb.
Again, Tyrese cried that went live. He put the front camera on, and cried, man. That's how much he loved his kids, man. It's an evil thing to stop a parent from seeing their child.
Damn right.
And they done this to Mary Queen of Scots, stopped her from seeing her son. So she had to send letters. Go ahead.
Kadwan Khan, sir. And to remember that you have in me a loving mother that wishes you to learn in time to love, know, and fear God.
And she said she wants him to love and fear God, man. Go ahead. Like what you'll find is a lot of the monarchs back then, they weren't in the truth, but they was very religious. So there's very much Catholic and Christian, there's very religious. So they feared God in the Christian way, but they weren't in the truth. Go ahead.
Kadwan Khan, sir.
And that's how you know these monarchs was what? Was black men. Because white people don't really believe in God.
That's right.
Like with us, this like Paul said, we have the zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. Now nobody else really fears God and cares about God. Go ahead.
Kadwan Khan, sir. Mary's prayer was that he would not forget anent her that has borne you in her sides.
So she was right, hoping that he don't forget her. Go ahead.
One can't. Elizabeth never allowed the gifts or the letters out of England.
Wait, Elizabeth what?
She never allowed the gifts or the letters out of England, sir.
So that whole letter that she penned, Elizabeth didn't allow the letter out of England, man. Elizabeth didn't let that letter out of England, which means what? King James didn't get that letter? Go ahead.
One can't. Instead, the English Queen approached the Scottish government.
Wait, hold on one second. Wait. What color was Queen Elizabeth?
It doesn't actually say. It just says.
Don't say, but I'm saying in general, what color is Queen Elizabeth?
In what they portray outside in the world, sir, a white woman, sir.
What is she according to? What is she? If you go by what's true?
She's a black woman, sir.
Yeah, who's she the daughter
of? King James the First, right? No.
She can't be King James the First.
No, definitely not. Salakia.
Salakia, sir. Is she the daughter of King Henry VIII?
Yes, that's who she's the daughter of.
Okay.
So she got the throne through her father.
Uh-huh.
After Henry VIII, it was Edward that had a short stint. Then it was Bloody Mary. Then it was Elizabeth, who was cousins with Mary, Queen of Scots. So what you'll find is a lot of the nobility back then, they was all related. So most of them around that time was all black families ruling from Denmark, Norway, England, Scotland, Ireland, Russia, all over.
And Salaki's, this was the Dark Ages as well, wasn't it? This is the time of the Dark Ages.
Yes. So all of them were ruling up until like mixed families started to come in around the time of the Hanoverians and whatnot. So that's when the families started mixing, and then after that, you had family became Edomites. So okay, go ahead.
Khan. Instead, the English Queen approached the Scottish government about the possibilities of raising James in England.
So now, Queen Elizabeth wanted to raise James in England. Why did she want to raise him in England?
Sorry, with
There you go, give him a hand. The brother said because if they can raise him in England, they can raise him to follow their religion, man. Whereas if he's raised in Scotland, he could be anything. But he was raised in Scotland as a Protestant, but his mother was Catholic. But really, Scotland was Catholic. So that's why once King James took the throne, the whole Catholic Protestant stuff, they all started. That's why, what's his name? Guy Fawkes tried to blow him up, man. Tried to blow up King James and his government and then put a Catholic back on the throne. So I can go ahead.
Kadon Khan, an idea that thrilled Mary. In her enthusiasm, Mary wrote to her former mother-in-law who had stayed involved with James, seeking her advice as grandmother. I have borne him, and God knoweth with what danger to him and me, to me both, and you, he is descended. So I mean not to forget my duty to you, but the Scottish lords refused to allow their king to be reared in England, despite
they said, nah. They said, how long are we letting him get raised in England? And why would you, man? At this time, King James wasn't the king of England. He wasn't the king of England at this time, because England had a queen. So now, they said, we ain't allowing him to be raised in England, because he was the king of Scotland. And England and Scotland weren't even seen eye to eye like that. This is a time when England and Scotland wasn't united. This is a time when just after Henry VIII went on his massacre all throughout Scotland, man, messing up the graves and whatnot. Why would they allow their king to be raised in England, man, if they still remember the torture and what they was put through? Next slide, Slacky, go ahead.
Would someday rule England as well as Scotland?
So now the King James was Sunday rule England as well as Scotland. Why? Because Elizabeth was getting old at the time, and they understood that he was next in line for the English throne. Why? Because he was a relative of Elizabeth. It was like a second cousin to her. Go ahead.
Khan.
And she had no kids. So because hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, so she had no kids. Why? Because in order for her to have kids, that would make a man the king. And she was like, nah, I don't want nobody above me. So she said that I'm not having nobody above me. So she would rather die childless than submit to a man, which is the wrong spirit to have, man. That's the wrong spirit to have. Imagine you deprive your children of getting a throne because you're thinking about yourself. Nah, man. So that's why they call her the Virgin Queen.
Right.
So now that's why they call her the Virgin Queen. And then King James has got a city in America called what? Jamestown, which is named after Jamestown. And then in reverence to Queen Elizabeth, he set up the city of Virginia because she was called the Virgin Queen because she never had sex. So that's where you get Virginia from. So the city of Virginia came from him showing reverence to the Virgin Queen, Queen Elizabeth. So because she died a virgin, that's why you have the town of Virginia. And I'm sure Virginia's in Jamestown, right? Is it Rocket Allah? You'd know more than me.
It's a lot, yeah. I think it's the opposite.
Virginia, Jamestown's in Virginia.
Khan.
Yeah, I know King James set up them cities and so forth. Because back then, America was colonies of England. So when you go to America, like in England, you got a place called York. In America, you got a place called New York. All of these places is named after English places. So that's why you'll see in America, there's tons of names. Obviously, another class will go all over it, but there's tons of names over there where they get their names from over places in England. So lucky, go ahead.
Khan, sir.
Listen, so lucky we study geography in here as well, man. We do geography. We study the atlas. Everyone remembers the atlas from school. You know, the big round one. I'm trying to get one. I need one for the school, man. I'm telling you, I'm gonna get one. No, which one about it. It's expensive though. It's expensive though. You see them?
The small one ain't that bad.
Nah, you need the big one.
Well, like this.
Nah, you need the big one.
One that you can look at.
Yeah, that's what you need. The big one. So when you're doing the class, you just got you get me. I'm telling you, when some money comes in, I'm gonna get the big one. That's lucky.
Khan. Mary continued to appeal to Elizabeth to, if not allow her to correspond, at least receive some word about his well-being.
So imagine this: you're a mother in prison, and you don't even know if your child's dead or alive because no one's giving you words of your child's well-being. I want to know about my child. I want to know. Imagine all of this inquiring she's doing about her child. Nobody, King James don't know because they're feeding him lies that your mother don't care about. Yes, lucky, go ahead.
Khan, Mary beseeched Elizabeth as a desolate mother whose solitary child has been torn from her arms.
And she felt like her child's been torn from her arms. She imagine this: you're in the cell, you're depressed, no one's responding to your messages. You don't know if your child received the pony and the letter. And imagine King James had to find out all of this like after his mom's dead, man. Imagine this you can't go back. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, so this kills the theory that King James had sex with his mom. Have you heard that one before?
Damn, King James didn't see his mom.
He didn't see his mom.
6 months.
That's what I'm saying. That's
what they say.
They say he had sex with his mom.
Damn.
He's a homosexual. What is this about King James?
King James' mom was in prison for like 20-something years. King James lasted his mom when she was 36 months because she was in jail. You should say to them, how did Mary escape out of jail then? To go have sex with him? It makes no sense. Have sex with him. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. His mother was in jail for 20 years and the Catholic Church, the lies they make up, man. The lies they make up could be cut with history so easily. All you say is, well, according to English history, How long was Mary Queen of Scots in jail for? They'll say about 20-something years. So at what stage could she have slept with James, man? Makes no sense. King James didn't even ever come to England until he got the throne, and he got the throne after Elizabeth was dead, man. I swear he got the throne when he was about, what, 36?
Yeah, late still.
And his mom last seen King James when he was about, what, 10 months? I believe about 10 months. And he got the throne at the age of the English throne at 36. Was it about 36?
Late his 30s, yeah.
Yeah, it was late 30s he got the throne. So that right there, that right there is crazy, man. Listen, you can go to the prisons where Mary was held, man. You still got some of them till this day. You can go to an execution site and all of those things. So like, you go ahead.
Khan Khan, her pleas landed on deaf ears.
Meaning no one heard it. Go ahead.
James Senior Tutor, the severe Presbyterian.
What's it again?
So this guy online goes, King James was a homosexual, paedophile, had sex with his mother, much worse than R. Kelly.
That's what he said.
But still, we read his Bible.
See, and imagine that. People hear that, and they'll say, I'm not going to read the King James Bible because King James is these things. And we've gone over tons of King James history, and we've never seen that.
Salaki, other one.
Go ahead.
People would say that about King James. They refuse to read the Bible, yet they will become Muslim, follow the Quran, ignoring the fact that Muhammad was not only a pedophile, right, but he was also a cross-dresser dressing in Aisha's clothes here, Revelation.
Right, exactly. And if they're so mad at King James, man, tell them there's other versions of the Bible they could read. What's their excuse, man? All right, King James is all of these things. I can give you the Geneva Bible, which is nothing to do with King James. Would you read that one? Still not going to read it. You know, there's more Bibles than King James, right? Listen, man.
I never knew that.
Now, these are the Bibles that was before King James's Bible.
Right, okay.
So they can go and read one of them ones, and they're still not going to read it. But now, them saying that King James was a homosexual, there's no proof of that. Them saying King James had sex with his mom was in jail, and King James never ever met his mom. King James and his mom never ever met in person, other than when he was a baby. So that right there makes no sense. King James was a paedophile. Listen, man. Most of these lies came from a Catholic man. I think his name was Sir Anthony Weldon. These lies came out like 30 years after he died. I had some lunatic the other day telling me about Solomon. Solomon used to have a ring that commanded demons. And the demons in the ring built the temple. And I said, look, man. You know what I said to him? I said, look, man. Find out when Solomon lived. Find out when that book was written. That's all you have to do. Find out when Solomon lived. Find out when that book was written. Find out when that book was written, and that book goes. It's like some 3rd or 4th century forgery. Solomon died BC, man. So I don't know how Solomon wrote a book after the 3rd century. It doesn't make sense. So go ahead.
What was the beef with Anthony Weldon? I heard he couldn't stand King James. Like everything he wrote was against him. What was the reason?
Oh, because this Catholic. So because this Catholic and James is Protestant, he started putting out lies. And I thought Catholics are meant to be righteous people, man. Catholics are meant to be righteous and all of those kind of things. But they're putting out lies, man. Imagine you putting out lies about a man who's dead. You should have put out these lies when he was alive, man, so he could do you for treason.
Right.
Listen, them Catholics is known for paedophilia, man. Them Catholics molest. Give a Catholic a piece of cake, he'll molest the cake. A Catholic will molest the cake, man. I'm telling you. There's nothing you can give to a Catholic and you don't get molested. Yes, lucky. Go ahead.
Khan. George Buchanan was a staunch enemy of Mary's and James Salakia. Was a staunch enemy of Mary's, and James was brought up to know that his mother was responsible for the murder of his father.
So now imagine this man was an enemy of Mary's, And an enemy of Mary's is raising King James. So what do you think King James is going to be told about his mother by an enemy? He's going to be told all sorts, man. He's going to be told your mum's a witch. Apparently, they say that King James believed his mum was a witch, which is kind of crazy. So King James was becoming extra. That's probably why I was going so ham in demonology, man. That's why King James was going so hard, probably in demonology. So lucky, go ahead.
Karawan Khan. In such a stern atmosphere, James developed into a highly intelligent and well-educated young man.
And King James was like a scholar. King James, it was he knew Latin. Was it French he knew as well? I believe it might have been. He knew Latin, he knew French. It was multilingual. So don't think King James was a dumb king. King James was educated, man. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. A true scholar.
A true what?
A true scholar.
They said King James was a true scholar. King James was a smart man. King James was so smart. He was telling you weed heads from the 1600s that it's bad for your lungs, man. He was telling you smoking's bad for your lungs from the 1600s. That's how smart King James was, man. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. But all of his life, he would crave love, which became his downfall.
And there you go. If you take a man's mother out of his life, man's lacking that motherly love, all his life is going to crave love. He's going to feel like he's not good enough. He's going to feel like nobody loves him. Why did my mother leave me? And on the flip side, why did my father leave me? Was I not good enough? And then you start craving something, man. Because the Lord made it where you're supposed to have two parents. But in the ISUPK, we give you back parents, man. We give you multiple mothers and multiple fathers, man. You get multiple mothers, multiple fathers up in here. Why? Because the Bible says be a father unto the fatherless. That's what we do, man. We are father unto the fatherless, and those children get raised like we birthed them, man. You don't even know the difference, man. One of them babies get raised by us from their baby. You ain't even gonna know we're not your biological father, man. You're gonna be raised so much like we raise our kids that you ain't even gonna know there's no difference, man. You probably just might not look like us, that's all. Their appearance might just look a little different. That's about it. But listen, man, you're gonna be raised how our children are raised, man. So lucky, go ahead.
Karawan Khan. Physically, he did not inherit his parents' good looks.
See, now they're saying, because apparently they say that Mary was fire. That's what they say. They say that Mary, Queen of Scots, was fire. She was good looking and all of that. That's what they say, man. They say that Mary's eyes and all of that. So everyone used to gaze at her like apparently she was beautiful. And apparently they say Queen Elizabeth was ugly. That's what they say. I'm just going based off the records that I've read. In one of the books, I can quote it word for word. In one of the books, Queen Elizabeth said to one of her advisors, who do you think looks better out of me or Mary? And the advisor said, Queen Elizabeth with a suave complexion dare to compare herself to Mary. Because Mary was, they say that Mary was lighter skinned. But the reason why Mary was light skinned, why? Because she used to bleach, she used to bath in milk. So back then, even back then, black people wanted to be white. So she used to bath in, they called it milk, she used to bath in milk and all those kind of things.
Go ahead, texture, bleach, and not milk.
No, not milk. Yeah, it was. I think that's what they called it though, but it was some kind of thing that lightened their skin. So back then, and that's why I don't know if you've ever seen movies with Queen Elizabeth in there where her face is super white. Have you seen it? Where her face is always super white. Yeah. So now she used to use a lot of makeup. Back then it was called Venetian cerise. That's what they used to call it. It was called Venetian cerise. So makeup back then, it used to give you lead poisoning. So they claimed that she could have died from lead poisoning. But back then, they didn't know what lead poisoning was until afterwards they done their research. So she used to powder her face so much. Now, different history books tells you different things. Some say she powdered her face because she was ashamed of her dark skin complexion. Others say she was trying to cover up the marks of smallpox. So it depends what history you read. They'll tell you different things. But it's lucky. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. When he turned 11, James became aware of Bothwell's confession. exonerating Mary of any complicity in his father's murder.
So now, once he got to a certain age, he realized that Mary didn't kill Buff Woman. She had no involvement in it. Once he got older, he realized that his mother didn't have no part in it. But now people's probably thinking, you're probably thinking, why can't King James just go get his mother out of prison, right?
Why not? Is the king in it?
Yeah, but the King of Scotland and not England, so it's different rules. So there's two different rules. You see, like if you got locked up in like Russia or somewhere, England can't say, yo, free my man, because they don't rule over there. Their rulership is here, so it weren't that simple. He couldn't just go over there and say, yo, free my mom from jail, man. It takes a lot of paperwork and begging and so forth. Go ahead.
Colonel Khan, whereas grievous accusations and calumnies have been all along impressed upon me against Her Majesty, my mother, this day I have seen a manifest declaration of her innocence.
So before that, he didn't believe his mother was innocent. Now found that his mother's innocent. Go ahead.
Colonel answer. The elimination of Mary Stuart was long overdue as far as Elizabeth's advisors and committee representing both House of Parliament were concerned. They called for Elizabeth to cut off her head. And
so now the men in England, because of all of this Catholic and Protestant stuff, they was advising Elizabeth, yo, cut off Mary's head, man. Execute her. There's like, get rid of her, man. We need to get rid of her because she's going to be a problem. Get rid of her. So now they're finding ways to cut off her head, man. Go ahead.
And make no more ado about her, that notorious whore, adulteress, and murderess.
That's a gangster bar. No, you're not just a whore. You're a notorious whore. Meaning, you're not a regular whore. You're a notorious. Listen, I'm adding that to my notes. Notorious whore. So okay, that's an insult, man. So okay, go ahead.
Adulteress and murderess, that monstrous and huge dragon that menaced England's peace and security.
They said that she's menaced England's peace. Why? Because she's Catholic, and there's a lot of Catholic people that want her free, and they're believing, yo, you Protestants are dealing with our Catholic queen rough, you know. Because remember, not everybody was against Mary; just a few of them was. So now she's been exonerated of the crime. Now they know that she had nothing to do with Darnley being killed. So now they're thinking, yo, so why is she still sitting up in an English prison? So these are saying, all right, then just cut her head off, man. Don't send her back. You can't send her back. Because they believe if she goes back, she's going to wage war against England with the Scottish army. So they're like, yo, it's just easier if you just cut her head off. So they're telling this to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, she don't want to do it. But Elizabeth being Protestant, if she don't kill a Catholic, the Protestants might turn against her. Like, don't think that the king's got as much, the king ain't got as much power as you think they do. How do you know this, right? Because Charles I got beheaded by his own government, man. Imagine Charles I got beheaded by his own government. So understand that they don't have as much power as you think they do. So some of the decisions that they make is based on peer pressure. It's based on all the people coming up against them. So I can go ahead.
The lodestar of rebellion and treachery and danger from abroad.
Go ahead.
Elizabeth was torn.
But apparently Elizabeth didn't want to kill Mary. So when they told her to do it, she's like, I don't want to do it, man. But then if she don't listen to them, it ruins her country because all the Protestants is going to be like, yo, you're sparing Catholics. Catholics don't spare us. That goes against God to spare the Catholics. Go ahead.
She listened as her advisors called Mary an irritated tyrant, traitorous and pestilence of Christendom.
So now they called her all of these things. Why? Because they was like, yo, get rid of her, man. Get rid of her. Go ahead.
To execute Mary, they argued, would be to save Elizabeth's own blood.
And they said it's you or her. They said, yo, if you execute her, you save yourself. If you don't execute her, your kingdom's not going to last. So she's put in a predicament like, yo, it's me or her. Go ahead.
And her dearest counselor's blood, and the blood of the whole realm.
And they said, if you don't kill her, the blood of the whole realm is going to be on you when these Catholics begin to kill us. Because at this time, I believe this is when Pope Pius V, he signed a letter saying Queen Elizabeth is excommunicated and how people are supposed to come to England and kill the Queen and put a Catholic on the throne. Don't think them popes was pushovers, them popes was murdering, man. So he put out that decree. And then afterwards, another pope after that lifted and told, no, this is what he told them. This is what Pope Pius V did. He told all the Catholics in England, don't respect Queen Elizabeth. Don't respect her. Don't listen to what she says. So then they're looking at it like, damn, if these people ain't listening to what you say, guess who they're going to listen to? They're going to listen to Mary, man. These Catholics is going to listen to Mary. If Elizabeth was smart, should her and Mary would have, worked something out, man. But now she listened to her privy council and was like, oh, I'm torn, I don't know what to do. Yes, Lucky, go ahead.
Got one cancer. At this point, with the now sadistic nature of her situation, Mary was ever more desperate to be free. Walsingham surreptitiously devised a way for Mary to send and receive correspondence.
So now there was a man he was a crook in England, and it was one of Elizabeth's men. He was a crook. So what Mary would do, when you send in letters, how you write your letters in code. This man let Mary write letters in code, and he took the letters, and then he wrote in the letter, we're going to kill Queen Elizabeth. And they've gone to Elizabeth and said, yo, Mary said she's going to kill you. Look at the letter. And then the Queen seen that and said, damn. Then they went back to her and said, see, we did tell you it was you or her. It was her or you. And she's seeing in this letter that Mary plotted to kill Elizabeth, even though she didn't. This man knew how to manipulate letters, and he manipulated this letter and made it look so good. It's like a Photoshop today. Today it'd be like someone photoshopping something. It's like, you go ahead.
Khan devised a way for Mary to send and receive correspondence through the bureau on his delivery days. Aided by his spies, Walsingham intercepted her correspondence.
This man intercepted her letter on purpose. He intercepted one of Mary's letters. He opened it, wrote some stuff in there, sealed it back, and then they thought this whole letter came from Mary. Go ahead.
Deciphered their code and then copied them over, introducing his own material, including
You're doing what?
Salakia, sir. He deciphered their code and then copied them over, introducing his own material.
This man introduced his own material into her letters. Go ahead.
Including the assassination plot.
And now he included the assassination plot. And then he lied and said, yo, Mary wrote letters and said she's going to assassinate the Queen of England. So he wrote this assassination plot into the letters. Go ahead.
At last, accomplishing Mary Stuart's destruction and the ruin of all involved. During a mock trial, under the duress of new and ghastly tortures, requested with bloodthirsty vengeance by Elizabeth, Babington and his companions confessed and then were executed.
So now they've done a mock trial, because now they was planning to execute her. Go ahead.
In the most savage manner. While still alive, they were castrated, disemboweled.
So now they're demonstrating it. So now they're demonstrating a mock trial. So now they're saying, yo, which one's the best one? Because back then, they would hang you, and then right before you died, they would take you off from hanging. Then they would put you on the bed. Then they would cut you open, and they would disembowel you while you're alive, while you're looking at your organs getting ripped out. Then afterwards, they would tie you to 4 horses. 4 horses would run separate ways, and then you would be quartered. And then they would lift up your head, and they would hold your head in the air, and they would be like, behold, the head of a traitor. So if you got done for treason, they would hold your head up and be like, behold, the head of a traitor. And then everyone else in that round would understand, don't be like that person. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Now, in terror for her life, Elizabeth, as Walsingham had hoped, became resolved on Mary's execution.
So now Elizabeth became fearful for her life because she's seen the letter of what they manipulated And then now she said, all right, then, you's like, all right, you're going to have to execute her. So they played Elizabeth, man. Elizabeth didn't want to do it in the beginning. But she's saying, yo, well, this woman's trying to kill me. It's only right I do the same thing. Go ahead.
During this same summer of 1585, still unaware of the tangled web that would finally capture her.
Manipulated the letters. He would do this to other people. Now, when you read the history, he done it to other people. And a few people, he manipulated the letters so good that, like, have you ever been telling the truth, but something looks so wrong you can't explain it? It sounds like you lied. That happened to you. It looks like you lied. Like, have you ever been telling the truth, but it looks like you lied? Like, imagine you wrote a letter. How do you explain to someone, I wrote this, but I didn't write this? How do you explain? Like, how do you explain that? You can't really explain it, man. Imagine that's like you having my phone, you looking in my messages, and I had the phone and the messages you see, and I'm saying, yo, I didn't write that. Listen, it's like when your rib looks through your phone and you're looking shut up, I didn't write that. This is what you do. You show her this, you tell her the messages was manipulated. So, okay. What's this man's name? This man's name is Walsingham. You tell her Walsingham manipulated the messages. That's what you tell her. You might get away with it. So, okay, go ahead.
Khan. Mary received a horrible blow. The idea of...
Because when they say talking to her about execution, she's like, huh? She's not understanding it. So sometimes you can be right, but based on how these had the evidence, because she did write the letters is signed by her signature, but the parts that he put in there, she didn't write them. So for her to say, I wrote this, but I didn't write this, no one's going to believe you, man. So they set her up. Go ahead.
The idea of an alliance with her son had been thoroughly undermined.
And what was supposed to happen was Mary was meant to rule jointly with King James. That's what she wanted. She was meant to rule jointly with King James, but these that put a block on it, they didn't want them to have that alliance. So this is part of the reason why they wanted to get rid of her. Go ahead.
As James had fallen prey to his own weakness and the treachery of others.
And these people lied to James and said, yo, don't do no alliance with her, man. She killed your father. She's going to kill you, man. That's what they told him. They told him, yo, this woman killed your father. She's going to kill you. So, like, you go ahead.
Having for so long believed in his mother's guilt with regard to his father's death, it was easy to get him to believe she would conspire to have Elizabeth murdered.
So now they went to King James now and said, yo, your mother has conspired to get Elizabeth murdered. And remember, King James don't know his mom like that. So he's thinking, is it true? Did she? And these are like, yo, look, man, she conspired to get your father murdered, man. She got your father murdered. Some people are telling him she was part of it. Some people are telling him she's not. So imagine you don't know your mom, but you're hearing she's trying to get everyone killed. So you're thinking, damn, she's picking off all the kings, the queens. So he doesn't know what to do at this stage. So he don't know his mom well enough to say, my mom ain't like that. She ain't going to do that. That's lucky. Go ahead.
Lucky, sir. That's the end of that part. Yeah. But earlier on in a couple slides beforehand, it said when he was 11 years old, right, that he realized that, you know, his mother didn't commit the murders, right?
Yes, but the man that raised him, he hated his mother, so he was telling him, yo, your mom had something to do with it. Your mom had something to do with it.
Oh, right. So he's a little bit confused. Right, okay, I got you guys.
Yes. So he's not 100% clear on the whole issue. He just knows that some people are saying, yo, your mom got your father killed. Some people are saying your mom's innocent. It's like any man that comes beats a case in court. Some people are like, yo, he did it, man. And some people are like, yo, well, he got not guilty, he didn't do it. But some people in their mind, they're like, nah, man, he did it. So it's kind of like that. Every crime that's committed, there's some people that, like let's say there's a jury of 12. If 4 people think you did it and about 8 believe you didn't, then you're going to bust case. But those 4 people is still going to go away saying, nah, he did it, man, he did it. So obviously King James weren't really clear on the whole issue. So lucky, go ahead.
The Scottish lords knew that Elizabeth did not want to see Mary reinstated on the throne.
So now the Scottish lords knew that Elizabeth didn't want Mary on the Scottish throne. Why? Because she was meant to rule jointly with King James. So she planned, her and King James wrote to each other. Now one of her letters got through to King James and he wrote back to her. And then he spoke about a joint kingdom with her. Or she spoke about a joint kingdom with him. and Elizabeth didn't want that. Go ahead.
So, like, so where's the part where he received the letter? Is it? Are we going to read that or?
I believe. I believe I put it in the slides.
Okay, I may have missed it then. Oh, so like, yeah.
You might come up after, so like, go ahead.
Okay, can't. To Scotland or in some capacity, and Elizabeth must have known how much they would resist that prospect with all their might.
Go ahead.
Embarking on the campaign to thoroughly blacken the Queen of Scots' reputation.
So now they tried to blacken her reputation. Go ahead.
James Morton and others brought out the infamous silver casket letters they had discovered in Bothwell's quarters 4 days after Mary had parted from Bothwell.
Oh, now what happened is they went into Mary's place, and then they begin to find letters that didn't really exist, letters that they made up. They started to manipulate letters. Go ahead.
Nothing had been made of the discovery until now, when suddenly
I didn't find these letters, but only now to find these letters. Okay, go ahead.
When suddenly the letters were found to thoroughly implicate the Queen. Never mind that the letters were, for the most part, forgeries and
now the letters was forgeries. Go ahead.
And discernible lies. The alleged contents eclipsed Mary's chance of ever gaining her freedom, and were shamelessly used by all her enemies to keep her in prison for the rest of her life.
And now they use these to keep her in prison for the rest of her life, man. Imagine they use these forged letters to keep her in prison for the rest of her life. Why? Because they realize, all right, then she's probably gonna be coming out of prison once they realize they can't really blame her for all these stuff that they was trying to blame her for. So now they've done this, and this was so they can keep her in prison for the rest of her life. That's lucky. Go ahead.
That's it on that one. Next slide, sir.
Sorry. Go ahead.
On the 23rd of November, 1586, Mary was given her sentence of death by.
So imagine this, the sentence there to death, man. On the 23rd of November, 1586, she was given the sentence of death. So now, when they sentence someone to death, they need to get the Queen to sign it. So now they had to go to Queen Elizabeth to sign it. So, go ahead.
Sentence of death by Buckhurst, by order of Elizabeth.
So now Elizabeth signed it. So now she was sentenced to death by the order of Elizabeth. Go ahead.
Who, deflecting responsibility, as it was her nature to do, felt there was so much public opinion for this solution that she could not defy it. Two queens could not inhabit the same isles.
Go ahead.
Since Mary had been expecting it, she was not thrown by it. She was losing her life in the Catholic Church.
She was in jail for like 20-something years. Go ahead.
She was losing her life for the Catholic Church, and not for any designs of their sovereign's life.
Go ahead.
She did not fear death and was quite resolute, and with a good heart, would endure it. That's it.
Yeah, she was prepared for it, man. She was like, yo, I'm not dying for anything I've done wrong, but they're going to kill me for my faith. She was a Catholic. So, go ahead.
Canada one can. James was becoming alarmed and wrote Elizabeth carefully worded letters, asking her to spare his mother's life.
And listen, man, King James wrote to Elizabeth asking her to spare his mother's life. Now, whenever people say, yeah, King James had sex with his mom, that makes no sense because she was in jail for 20 plus years, man. King James is writing letters to Elizabeth and he didn't step foot in England until he became a grown man. He wasn't even raised in England. Because earlier on it said Elizabeth wanted him raised in England. And the Scottish people said, how no, we're not raising our king in England. So now he began to write letters to Elizabeth saying to spare his mother's life. So like I said earlier, English law was different to Scottish law. So whatever crimes you committed in England, they could hold you in prison in England. And even though you're a queen of Scotland, in England, you're not really nothing. So she was a queen in Scotland, but in England, nah, she wasn't. So go ahead.
To his surprise, his own subjects were letting him know that they felt outraged that their Scottish queen might be put to death by a foreign sovereign.
Imagine these people don't even like Mary, but they was like, damn, nah, man, we don't want no foreign people to put them to death. And this is what you white people gotta understand, man. There might be black on black crime, man. Don't mention it, man. If there is black on black crime, that happens, but we don't want you Edomites killing us, man.
That's right.
That's right.
Family issue, man. People understand, like basically what these brothers are saying here in Scotland is saying, yo, we kill her, that's one thing. But for you to kill her, we're not allowing that, man. Now, us as black people, we shouldn't kill each other, man. But that's how, when these Edomites say to us, what about black on black crime? Listen, man, we're not killing each other because our skin's black. We're killing each other over issues, man. You're killing us because our skin's black. And when they say, well, what about black on black crime? That's them using that to say, well, we allowed to kill you, man. No, you're not allowed to kill us, man. It don't work like that. Salaki, go ahead.
Lucky, sir.
Go ahead.
What if we said, oh, because of what your forefathers done, we're going to duppy you? You understand? Same kind of principle, Salaki.
Yeah. Go ahead.
While Elizabeth spoke of the weather, she blithely signed the warrant for Mary's death.
Imagine Elizabeth talking about how the weather's cold outside, and she signed Mary's death, man. Mm-hmm. She signed it, so now she had to sign a death warrant. Now, once the king, like how in the book of Esther, where they needed the seal with the king's ring to carry out the murder of the Jews, they needed the queen's signature to carry out the murder of Mary. So now this is the day that she signed it. So she signed the death warrant. Go ahead.
And then sent out inquiries about the possibility of someone taking the responsibility for dealing the blow from her hands.
So now they needed to find someone that was going to carry out the execution. Because now nobody wants to execute someone that's royalty. So now they have to find a man that's the axeman that's going to carry out the execution. Go ahead, I'm going to fly through the last few slides.
James never seemed to realize his mother's life was in danger or that he could ever be brought to trial. His advisor, Gray, was very involved in keeping Elizabeth informed about James's feelings concerning his mother's predicament. Gray and Walsingham had managed to convince James that his mother was after his crown.
Now, when James was trying to get his mom out of jail, his advisors convinced him, nah, man, your mom's trying to get you crowned. She's trying to get you crowned. She's trying to get your realm off you, man. She's trying to get rulership. They was trying to convince him. Well, they did convince him. So that's why King James took a back seat and stopped trying to get out of prison. Imagine that. These men allowed his mother to get killed, knowing damn well that weren't the case.
Oh, so she do get killed then?
Yes.
Oh, my days. This is not what I want. You know what? I was hoping this. Oh, you gave it away, man. You know what? Oh, shit. Salakia, man. Oh, my days. I was waiting. Oh, I can't believe I just heard that, you know. That's injustice, you know. That's real bad, you know.
I ruined the story. Listen, it was sounding like a movie, man. I ruined this shit.
That's why everyone fell at the end of the sea.
So lucky she survived redone.
Don't, come on.
Listen, they had a new ending on the new Titanic. We're about to give this a new ending as well. So lucky. Go ahead.
Cut on card. Convinced that James' mother was after his crown and a threat to Elizabeth, so that James believed prison. Salakia, sorry, my mind's just scrambled. Salakia. Let me go back again. Salakia. Gray and Walsingham had managed to convince James that his mother was after his crown and a threat to Elizabeth, so that James believed prison, where she was not a real threat, was.
So now King James said, "All right, then don't kill her. Just let her live. Just let her live in prison." That's what he wanted her to stay in prison, because they convinced him she was after his crown. They convinced him his mom was crazy and she's after his crown. Go ahead.
She could pray and serve God. Elizabeth believed that if she did justice against the mother, she would be doing nothing else but advance the son.
Go ahead.
She warned James, a woman who had not spared her husband was not likely to spare her son.
He got in his head and said, yo, well, she did spare her husband. So what makes you think she's going to spare you? Now, this was a time when women was meant to love their husbands more than their sons. Put it this way: if your rib ever says to you that your son or your son's her first love, why is she saying about you? You're supposed to be her first love, man. Why? Because she knew you before she had the son. That means she didn't love you if her son's the first love. You're supposed to be her first love, man. Why? Because you can give her many more sons, man. Imagine that's a disrespect. Imagine your woman says to you, imagine the father's there and the son's there, and your woman says, yeah, this is my first love. Meanwhile, you've been there before all the kids. Listen, man, it's a disrespect. So, like, go ahead.
Colonel Khan, Walsingham wrote to Grey advising him to tell the king not to mediate for his mother. The implication was his succession would be in severe jeopardy.
Go ahead.
After Babington, it further was implied Elizabeth should be favored for showing clemency.
Go ahead.
As the trial commenced, Grey worried about his own position. His king would insist he advocate for his mother's life when Grey's own well-being would be at stake should mother and son renew their correspondence.
Go ahead.
Unpleasant secrets would be revealed, and mother and son would discover they had both been betrayed.
And in the end, King James and Mary would realize they've both been betrayed. Why? Because she wasn't getting his letters, he wasn't getting her letters. He believed his mother tried to kill Elizabeth. His counsel told him, your mother tried to kill Elizabeth, and then just leave her. He thought she's just going to stay in jail, and so forth. So imagine he's not getting the full story. She's not getting the full story. And both of their counsels played them, man. Let me go to the next slide. Give me this one, Benjamin.
Khan. Sir, that evening, those in charge of her execution requested an audience. Mary responded she was sick in bed, but she would see them if they gave her a little time.
Go ahead.
When the party entered her chambers, only Shrewsbury uncovered his head. Mary listened with calm and dignity, and as Shrewsbury apologized for what he was about to tell her.
Go ahead.
Her execution was set for the next morning.
Imagine this. You know you're innocent, and you find out you're going to be executed tomorrow, man. You know how stressful that would be. You know how scary that would be, knowing tomorrow you're going to die. That's a scary thing, man. Knowing you're going to, there's one thing, knowing you're going to die, knowing you deserve it, that's one thing. But knowing you're going to die and you don't deserve it, that's crazy, man. So, okay, go ahead.
Next morning at 8 o'clock, instead of shedding tears, she thanked him for such welcome news.
That's gangster, that is, man. Listen, you know you're going to die anyway. There's no point crying, man. Listen, if you know someone's, listen, it's like when the police come, there's no point begging the police not to arrest you once they got the cuffs on. You're going to the police station anyway, man.
Yeah.
It's over, man. It's like being in court and the judge says guilty. There's no point crying now. It's a bit too late for that now. You're rather just own it, be like, yo, it is what it is, man. There comes a time where you have to say, you know what, I'm just going to own it. She knew that they weren't going to go back on the death warrant. So she was just like, all right, thanks for the good news. Go ahead.
You will do me a great good in withdrawing me from this world.
She was like, I don't care about this life anyway, man. I've been in jail for 20 years, man. You're doing me a favor.
Out of which I am very glad to go. Despite her royal position, she felt, all my life I've had only sorrow. Again, she swore her innocence.
Go ahead.
After supper, she drank to the welfare of her servants, and they fell to their knees, tears mixing with wine.
Imagine a woman that you've been raised with your whole life, you find that she's going to die tomorrow, you're going to cry, man. All these women are crying because they don't want her to die, and they knowing she's innocent, and they're drinking wine, and they're all crying, man. And you would cry if you know your loved one's going to die tomorrow, man. Knowing that they don't deserve it, knowing you've got no power to stop it, you'd cry your eyes out. So I can go ahead.
And begged her forgiveness for any transgressions. And she turned.
And they cried and they begged her, forgive us for anything we've ever done wrong to you, man. We love you. We don't want you to go. They cried their eyes out. Slacky, go ahead.
Saying she wished she could have done more for them.
She's crying and they're crying and they're all crying with each other, knowing this is the last time they're going to see each other, man. Knowing because these evil bastards lied, now she's going to die. They're all crying and you can imagine the tears in the room. Go ahead.
She wrote letters, distributed her meager possessions, and her chaplain, since she was not allowed a priest to hear her last confessions, and gave her the last rites of the church. She also wrote a will which preserved at the Scottish College in Paris and carries traces of her tears.
Imagine they still got this letter in the museum with her tears on there, man. Listen, we need to go see this letter, man.
Oh, no doubt, definitely, sir.
Imagine they wrote this letter, and this letter still got tears on there, man. But you know, you cry on pieces of paper. Cry that she was writing this letter, man. It's sad what they did to this sister. She cried, man. And imagine that tears dripped on the paper, and these bastards have framed the paper like it's a monument. Yeah, look at this. Listen, man. That's sad, that is, man. She was innocent, and she's writing letters crying, knowing, yo, this time tomorrow I'm not going to be here. So, Lucky, go ahead.
Khan. They were forced back into the Queen's apartments by orders of Elizabeth.
So now this is the women that wanted to go with her to die. They wanted to go with her, but Elizabeth forced them back and said, no, you're not coming. Go ahead.
Who wished for Mary to die alone.
Go ahead.
The wails from their grief.
Imagine the wails from their grief. Like imagine that cry, Hacker. Imagine that cry. Imagine a woman you love dearly, and you know she's gonna die. Imagine the wails, man. Imagine you want to go with her at the time, you know. Imagine the crying, and you know, yo, she's innocent. You know her whole life she's been treated wrong. You've spent time with her. You've been in jail with her, so you know, yo, she's innocent. You don't want her to go. Just imagine the wails as she's going that way and you're going the other way. So, okay, go ahead.
Salakia, they done a real number on this sister if she dies at the end of the year. You already said it, but damn.
If I could go back to the 1600s, I would have came from that with a sword, fake mail. Listen, I'd have came through the sword and chain. I'd have wiped out everyone, Salakia.
Trust me, man. That's some wicked shit, Salakia. Excuse my language. What they did to her, man.
Them niggas lucky I went there in the 1600s hearing this. I'm telling you, I would have been there. Salakia, go ahead.
Quran Khan, as they were pulled away from their mistress.
Imagine they're trying to go to her and this guard's pulling them away from her, man. And they're screaming and they're crying, knowing, yo, as she's getting further away in the distance, this is the last time you're going to see her alive. And they're crying, trying to get to her. And they're pulling her that way, they're pulling them that way. And you see her getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And you know, the last time you're going to see her. You know, those are the last words you're going to get to say to her, man. So I can go ahead.
Quran Khan, they kissed her hands and the hem of her dress. Mary took the gold cross and embroidered handkerchief they were holding and entered the hall alone.
And yeah, she entered that hall alone, ready to die all alone, man. Because some bastard lied on her. So I can go ahead.
At first sight of the scaffold, she raised her ivory cross over her head and advanced with great dignity. As the Queen accepted Paulette's arm for assistance with the 2 short steps up to the 12-foot square platform, she said to him, "Thank you for your courtesy, Sir Amias. This will be the last trouble I shall give you."
And up until her execution, she's still trying to, you know, joke about it and make light of it. But really, you know, she's scared and she don't want to die. But she's just trying to make light of it to make it easier. Because she don't want her women to see, yo, I cried. She don't want her women to see, this is what happened. So I can go ahead.
Quran Khan, and the most agreeable service. Salakia, this will be the last trouble I shall give you, and the most agreeable service you have ever rendered me.
Go ahead.
The block covered with black was placed near the great Gothic fireplace. Nearby stood the executioner and his assistants.
Wait a minute, I'm wondering if the execution is corrupt. I'm starting to wonder.
No, you can't. You mustn't say that, man, because you're gonna put no. There's a different type of execution, sir. So,
I'm thinking we go back 400 years. Was it him? Salakia?
no, that wouldn't be him, man. Definitely not.
It's like a go ahead.
Thereby stood the executioner and his assistant, both dressed in long black velvet gowns.
How that's scary that the executionist is just you know them horror movies.
Yeah.
And the lockdowns with the axe. That's how these men looked. Go ahead.
With white aprons and black masks. The executioner held a large axe mounted on a short handle such as used for chopping wood. With this next one.
These men had, so I can say that again. Yeah, these men had an axe ready to cut a head off, man. So I can go ahead.
Khan. Please, she asks one last time, remember me to my sweet son.
Imagine this sister's about to die and she just wants to remember her. She's about to die and all she wants is them to let King James know, look, man, tell my son I love him, remember me to my son. And these bastards is telling King James, yo, your mother's evil. Meanwhile, she's about to die and all she is thinking about is him. So, okay, go ahead.
Jane Kennedy covered her eyes with the beautiful handkerchief and stepped away. Begging her forgiveness, which was traditional, the executioner fell to his knees before her.
No, that's not corrupt, it's okay. The executioner fell to his knees, begging forgiveness. So, okay, go ahead.
She forgave him with all of her heart.
The executioner knows he don't want to execute her, but he's been told by Elizabeth, so he wants her to forgive him. So in their mind, so God don't punish him for if he's wrong. So that's why he begged for forgiveness. Go ahead.
She forgave him with all of her heart,
and she forgave this man,
as she had already forgiven everyone, even and perhaps especially Elizabeth.
Go ahead.
Still seated and unbound, she stretched out her neck, believing she was to be beheaded by sword, as was traditional in France for royalty. Seeing her misunderstanding,
this sister's so feminine and so cute. She didn't even know how to even get executed properly. Like instead of misunderstanding, like she didn't even know what to do, man. Imagine, man. She don't even know where to put her head on the chopping block. She's thinking, I'm getting executed by a sword, and it's not, and the man had to help her. Imagine seeing a woman you love dearly about to get executed, and she's trying to do it right, and she doesn't even know how to do it, man. It makes me just want to hug her and say, yo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then it makes you just want to hug her and say, yo. Let's live, man. So Lucky, go ahead.
Seeing her misunderstanding, the executioner assisted her to her feet and escorted her to the block, where he helped her kneel down.
So now imagine she's going to be dead within the next 10 minutes. Go ahead.
The hall was deadly silent. When he tried to bind her with cords, she pushed them aside.
Go ahead.
Still thinking she would be dying by the sword, she knelt upright.
So imagine she still didn't know how she was going to die. She still didn't know how to do it properly. So they have to help her. Imagine you seeing this little sister doesn't know how to die, and you have to assist her. Like, now put your head like this, do that. Listen, man, I feel sorry for her, man. So Lucky, go ahead.
But they made her bend with her head on the low block, only a few inches high from the ground.
Go ahead.
Mary could be heard saying in Latin, "Into thy hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit."
So she understood there's a higher power, man. She said, Lord, man, when did I take my spirit, man? So Lucky, go ahead.
As daylight dawned on that cold and bitter morning in the month that still keeps all of winter's fierce cold, yet also holds
go ahead. I'm just trying to see if
a faint promise of spring, Mary was taken to the great hall of.
All right, I'm gonna skip that one. Give me this one.
Her servant Jane Kennedy bound Mary's eyes with a white cloth embroidered in gold, selected by Mary the evening before. After bidding her servants not to cry,
So
Mary
now
stood.
the servants don't cry, man, because these women are crying. She's saying, "Yo, don't cry, man. I'll go to the Lord now. I'm gonna be at peace. I've been in jail for 20 years. Let me be. I'm gonna die, but don't cry for me." So she's trying to comfort them because they're crying and they're wailing like anyone would if you lose a loved one. Go ahead.
Mary stood alone on the stage and
And stood
positioned
alone, half the center alone to die. Nobody there. No honorable death. Go ahead.
her chin herself on the executioner's block.
Go ahead.
To ease her discomfort, she placed her hands under her chin, as this would hinder the fall of the blade. The executioner gently took her arms
Oh, no, she's put her hand on the block ready to die. She's removed their hands off the block. Go ahead.
and held them behind her back.
Go ahead.
Her last words.
Her hands is behind her back. Now the executioner with the axe is there. Go ahead.
Her last words before the first stroke of the axe were, "Into thy hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit."
The axe is coming now. Go ahead.
The first blow missed her neck and split open the back of her head.
Damn.
Imagine
Mary was heard to whisper.
Imagine you meant to take off someone's head with one blow. This man missed her neck and cracked open the back of her head, man.
It's 2 chops in it.
So he's missed her head and cracked open the back of her head, man. An innocent sister, by the way. So lucky, go ahead.
Mary was heard to whisper, "Sweet Jesus."
Go ahead.
Her head was nearly severed by the second blow.
So now it's hit her again with the second blow, but her head didn't come completely off. They killed this innocent sister, man. This was an injustice, man. So lucky, go ahead.
The remaining sinew was completely cut through by the third blow.
So now imagine it took 3 blows to kill her, man. He chopped her in the back of her head. Next chop, then chopped her with the third blow to get her head off. Go ahead.
Legend has it that when her head toppled off the block, her body began moving.
So imagine her body's on the floor, her body's still moving because all her nerves ain't shut down yet, but she's dead. Go ahead.
Terrifying all the witnesses.
Go ahead.
When the executioner held up her head for all to see.
So now he had the executioner held up her head once it was dead. Go ahead.
Her head slipped from her wig and fell to the floor.
By the wig, but the wig's come off. So her head's dropped out the wig, man. So imagine her head's just dropped on the floor out the wig. Go ahead.
Her own hair had turned white and she was nearly bald from her long imprisonment.
Oh, she was stressed. She was nearly bald white because she's been in jail for 20 years. Stress, man. Of course you're going to lose your hair. Go ahead.
Without her great spirit to animate it, her face was unrecognizable.
Go ahead.
Weathered now like a crone's. The lips remained moving for the next 15 minutes.
Go ahead.
When the executioner reached under her skirt to claim her garter,
garter is one of those things that you'd put on your legs or whatever. Go ahead.
Which was his prerogative, his heart must have stopped. Mary's little Skye Terrier,
execution, they said she can't bring no one with her, but Kosh was in jail with this dog for so long. She loved the dog, and she would raise this dog, and she brought this dog with her. She hid the dog under her skirt, so she told the dog beforehand, be quiet and whatnot. Not that the dog could understand, but she brought the dog with her, like to the execution with her. So the dog was under her skirt, protected under her skirt. Go ahead.
Mary's little Skye Terrier, Geddon, devoted companion during her last years in prison.
In jail. You got nothing. She had this dog, which became her companion. Go ahead.
Came out from hiding under her voluminous skirts and refused to leave his dead mistress. He lay in the blood between her head and her body.
And this dog laid in the blood, man, because this dog obviously loved Mary in it because he grew up with her. Hold on, let me see. What's this one? No, I don't need that one. Get me. Yeah, give me this one, and then we'll close out with this one. So after the dog laid in the blood.
Salaki. Sorry, sir. Someone pried little Geddon away from Mary's body and washed him over and over so that no blood remained.
So now the no blood remain. Go ahead.
Anything that had given a drop of the Queen of Scots' blood was burned or washed clean. There was to be no holy relics made from her martyrdom.
So now no holy relics made. They disrespect to their body. They left their body just somewhere for 6 months all alone. Go ahead.
Her body was carried up to the great chamber, laid out on her own billiard table, and hastily rolled in a cloth torn from it, awaiting the surgeon to embalm her. What is it called? Embalm, Salakia, her. Her woman banished from her, attending to her.
Banished, go ahead.
Her card, watched through the keyhole of the adjoining room, kneeling.
So now they're adjoining room, so they would look through the keyhole to see if there was handling her body right. Once this evil bastard found that it blocked the keyhole, so they couldn't see nothing. Go ahead.
Kneeling and praying by the door. When Paulette discovered them,
and they was crying and praying by the door. When this man discovered them, go ahead.
He had the keyhole stopped up.
So he blocked the keyhole so they can't see. Go ahead.
By 4 p.m, her body was stripped, embalmed, wrapped in waxed with winding sheet, placed in a heavy lead coffin and sealed shut.
Go ahead.
For 6 long months, the body of Mary Stuart was to remain neglected and forgotten.
They neglected her body, man. Her body remained neglected. No one cared about it. Didn't get a burial or nothing. Go ahead.
In the ancient walls of Farthinghay, Gideon refused to eat and soon died.
Even the dog was so depressed that the dog didn't eat after that, man.
I thought this was gonna have a good ending, sir. I thought this was that was fuckery. Salakia from my language, sir. Nah, they done that woman dirty bad, you know.
Even the dog died from the depression, man.
Yeah, that was. Do you know what? I don't think nobody know the true story, you know. The true story, man. They don't know this true story, boy. This is a horror story, really, for her. Really, and an innocent woman at that as well. She didn't even do nothing wrong. And the fucking executioner couldn't get the thing right properly the first time. And make it easy death. Salakia, sir.
Crack the back of her head, man.
Wicked.
And that right there.
Wicked.
That's the sad story of what happened to King James' mother, the Mary Queen of Scots, man.
Wicked.
That's one of the saddest classes I've done. Salakia.
That was sad, bro. Like, boy,
man.
I'm having a drink after this. I'm telling you, man.
Listen, I think I need one as well. That's not a sad ending, man. But we'll be in Leicester this Saturday. Then the Passover, when we come back from the Passover, we're gonna go over a few more classes like this. So we're gonna go over what happened to Charles I. So we're gonna go over all of them one by one. And then that way you can get your history up on the English monarchs on how they live and how they died. So we're gonna go over these one by one. With that, clap your, any questions before we go?
That was wicked. You done a really good class, heavy class, man.
Awesome class.
All right, clap your
Then you teach one kid to sleep in a vision. I'm Madian. Shabbat. I'm Madian. Rock. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai brought the star.
Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai brought the
star. Class dismissed.
All right, for all that again, Kim will be here tomorrow for the scripture breakdown class. We'll be here. We'll be in Leicester Saturday. All right, Shalom, Israel.
Shalom, sir.